Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining today's joint general membership meeting between members of the Management Association of the Philippines and those of the People Management Association of the Philippines. I am Rico de GUZMAN. I happen to be the moderator. I happen to be the assigned moderator for today's GMM, joint GMM, on the theme Leapfrogging Digital Talent Development. Please settle down comfortably as we now begin our program. May I request everyone to pause and bow our heads for a short prayer to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem. Our most merciful God, we come to you in our weakness. We come to you in our fear. We come to you with trust, for you alone are our hope. We place before you the disease present in our world. We turn to you in our time of need. Bring wisdom to doctors. Give understanding to scientists. Endow caregivers with compassion and generosity. Bring healing to those who are ill. Protect those who are most at risk. Give comfort to those who have lost a loved one. Welcome those who have died into your eternal home. Stabilize our communities. Unite us in our compassion. Remove all fear from our hearts. Fill us with confidence in your care. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiliw, elas ang sinakalan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Upang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ang pagaw, ay hinatang tulad, awit sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagtitindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pang ay di magtitindig, luman ang araw ng walhagit pagsinta, mo'y langit sa piling mo. Aming higaya ng pagkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. At this point, may I request the President of the Management Association of the Philippines, MAP President Gigi Montinola, the Chair of Far Eastern University, to deliver his welcome remarks. Gigi?
President Angelina Lynn Mukhi of the PMAP, our distinguished speakers, friends from government, diplomatic community, civil society, and the media, officers and members of both PMAP and MAP, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of the MAP Board of Governors, I welcome all of you to this joint general membership meeting of MAP and PMAP on, quote, leapfrogging digital talent development. All words in this theme are important, given our slow start in the COVID handling. We have to leapfrog ahead of everybody else. Digital is the new normal, and talent development will always be something that is important to all of us. In 2018, MAP and PMAP agreed to institutionalize an annual joint general membership meeting every September. And this is why we're having this meeting today. Many thanks to our speakers, Ms. ANN ROSARY ASETRE of Lee Hecht Harrison, Secretary Fortunato de la PEÑA of the Department of Science and Technology of DOST, Dr. Henry Kh1 of GATE International, who is a member of the G20 and B20 Global Task Force, Mr. Wallen Tan of Hopkins International Partners, and Usec EMMANUEL CAINTIC of the Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT. The MAP Management Development and Human Capital Committee, chaired by Rico de GUZMAN, for helping organize this joint GMM. And thank you, Rico, for moderating today's affair. The Great Reset, Leading for the Common Good, has been MAP's theme for 2021. Our main goals have been to safely reopen the economy, promote shared prosperity and ESG, and to enhance member benefits via best practice sharing. As in past meetings, we have a number of activities that will follow the meeting today to continue to basically stress what we're trying to do for the year. We've always said vaccinate, vaccinate, vaccinate. We've also said that we've been trying to address ESG, and today we are addressing the letter G, or governance of the ESG. On September 28th, there's going to be a webinar on the rise of challenger banks, featuring BSP Governor Ben Diokno as the main speaker, together with other distinguished people. For member benefits, we've had more than our share of webinars. To date, we've already had 12 general manager meetings, 97 webinars, 20% of which have been organized by the MAP. Topics have varied: health, economy, environment, education, and social justice, to arts and culture. Currently, voter registration and voter education is a big theme, and we've been helping both in the funding and in webinars designed to get people to register and vote, and later on to help them on the voter education side. On the learning crisis, MAP will be participating in 2 events: a dialogue with university presidents on September 22 and 24 in partnership with AIM and CHED, and an October 12 general manager meeting on, quote, addressing the learning education crisis. For our forthcoming events, I guess the big one, which is actually next week, will be our signature MAP International CEO Conference from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. with the thought-provoking and timely theme of, quote, hindsights, insights, and foresights, the future in the present tense. Our perpetually capable MAP Conference Chair, Alma Jimenez, and Governor Fred Pascual will be spearheading this challenge. In closing, I would just like to mention that the MAP has gone through its nomination and election committee formalities through Chair Malu Cristobal. There are 10 nominees for this year's election. I believe the election starts today. You have to vote for 4 people who will become governors in the coming year. So please, these are being sent separately. Please review the list of names, all qualified, and then pick your 4. So good luck with today's seminar. Please keep in touch. As always, we try to get in touch with you through our various communication channels, such as email, Viber, electronic newsletter, MAP memo, MAP Facebook page, etc. So good luck on our most interesting topic this afternoon. Mabuhay kayong lahat.
Thank you, President Gigi. At this point, may I request the President of PMAP, Ms. Angelina Lynn Mukhi, to deliver her welcome remarks in behalf of PMAP.
Thank you very much, Attorney Rico. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Gigi, for sustaining this partnership of PMAP and MAP since, as you mentioned, 2018. I do recall with much affection and gratefulness you being a champion for people development, having partnered with us in the 2019 CEO and CHRO Collaboration Breakfast Forum, where we were talking about championing a people-first philosophy in the organizations that we lead. And indeed, when we talk about the topic today, I was talking to Attorney Rico about what we might do for today's topic. And I have just 3 things that I'd like to share from my heart to everyone in the audience today. As PMAP president, I've seen the extent of responsibility that we as leaders can do for people in our organizations, as well as human capital development for our country, the Philippines. I therefore say, first of all, when we think about corporate governance for all the CEOs and the CHROs in the audience today, talent risk must be integrated in corporate governance as part of enterprise risk management. As we continue to champion a people-first philosophy in PMAP, we need to make sure that we align strategy and capital allocation, putting weight into the people-first philosophy as we look at our bottom line in our organizations. The past year has been difficult, no doubt, for our businesses, and this year continues to be a challenge. But if we believe in people truly as an asset, the most valuable asset of the organization, we will internalize talent risk factors with enterprise risk management. And there will be results, rewards for this effort as we put greater focus on preparedness and resilience to systemic shocks. Secondly, when I think about the people that we've got, we have proven it, friends. Filipino talent is world-class. We're able to compete and win globally in the global marketplace. Therefore, it is our responsibility for us here who are leaders in the Philippines of our organizations to make sure that we provide our people that development that will allow them to continue to shine in the global arena. We must develop and empower not just the people in our organization, but the entire nation of Filipino workplace warriors, I would call them, soldiering on in this crisis. We have shown what we can do. And I don't need to say it again anymore. We have shown from 2020 to today that it's people who continue to drive our businesses. The big reset, therefore, is that people really is core to the business. In fact, people is our business. So my call, when I remember how we, MAP and PMAP, both signed the Shared Prosperity Covenant in 2020, that covenant really has its core human capital development. And I would say, not even just thinking of human as capital of an organization, but simply we must commit that in all our society, we must enhance the dignity of human beings. And close to this, therefore, is achieving inclusive development. Lastly, when we think of what we do here at MAP and at PMAP, really, we're thinking beyond this generation, aren't we? Last year, I had the pleasure of speaking in this MAP and PMAP joint membership as a panelist, and we were talking about how we build future generations in our companies. So again, my call is to think beyond our companies, think Philippine-wide, think of the next generation of Filipinos, and ascribe to them that honor of recognizing their potential and talent, and say, we will leapfrog talent development for our entire country, thinking not only of this generation, but the next generation, our children, our children's children, the children who are still in the classrooms today, grade schoolers, high schoolers. We must build our next generation of Filipinos who will shine in the global marketplace. So I'm really thankful, and I'm so happy just to see in our roster of speakers today a very strong government, academia, and industry partnership. This is something that MAP and PMAP must continue to do. There is so much more for us to do in the coming years. And together, we would say, let us bring Philippines to higher ground. because together we can. Thank you very much, and I'm really looking forward to hear from all our speakers this afternoon.
Thank you, Lynn. We now come to the presentation of the new MAP members for an online induction, to be officiated by the immediate past president of MAP, and who now chairs the MAP membership committee. He also happens to be our firm ACCRALAW senior legal counsel, and I refer to Attorney Francis Lim. Francis?
Thank you very much, Rico. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm pleased to announce that this afternoon, we are inducting 4 new members who will increase our total membership from 1,058 to 1,062. May I now read the names of the inductees? Mr. Alvin Juban, Chair of Game Developers Association of the Philippines, Line of Business Trade Association. Sponsors are Mr. Ray Untal and Mr. Victor Magdaraog. Number 2, Dr. Eugenio Jose F. Ramos, President and CEO of the Medical City, Line of Business, Healthcare Management. Sponsors are yours truly and Ms. Risa Mantaring. Our third inductee is Ms. Golda Aguilar Roldan, CEO of Wunderman Thompson Philippines, Line of Business, Advertising. Sponsors are yours truly and Ms. Risa Mantaring. And the last but not least, Dean Edgardo Carlos L. Bistan II, Dean of the College of Law, Line of Business, UIUP College of Law, Line of Business, Academe. Sponsors are yours truly and Ms. Risa Mantaring. And at this point, I call our MAP President, Gigi Montinola, to lead the online induction of our new members. Thank you.
So for the new members, I
Golda
do hereby solemnly pledge that I will perform well and faithfully
that I will perform well and faithfully
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
my duties as a regular member
my duties as a regular member
in order to contribute
in order to contribute
to the achievement of the objectives
to the achievement of the objectives
of the Management Association of the Philippines.
of the Management Association of the Philippines.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations and welcome to the MAP. We hope you stay with us.
Honored to be here. Thank you for having us.
It's an honor.
Yeah.
Congratulations to our new members. Let us welcome and give another warm of virtual applause to all of them, please. Thank you, Francis. At this point, may I just read some reminders before we start with the presentations. As participants for this joint GMM, you are automatically muted and your camera or video is also switched off. You may submit your questions through the Q&A box that you see on your screen. With the assistance of our MAP Secretariat, we will read the questions on your behalf. For your information, you will only be able to see the panelists, but you will not be able to view the other participants. In the interest of time, we will dispense with the lengthy introduction of our panelists. And I would like to remind our panelists that you are given 5 to 10 minutes for your respective opening statements or your presentations. And so at this point, may I call on our first panelist. Please welcome the APAC Customer Success Manager of Lehigh Harrison, Joanne Rosary Asetre. Joanne?
Good afternoon, Attorney Rico. Good afternoon to everyone. And thank you so much for inviting me to this Joint General Membership Meeting. I am so honored to share the virtual stage with highly distinguished leaders in the country. So just a bit of information about who LHH is, because I will be coming from the expertise and the experience of LHH as we talk about talent development. So LHH, we were formerly known as DBM before here in the Philippines. We are a subsidiary of the ADECO Group, is the world's leading talent advisory and solutions company. For almost 60 years globally and for 20 years locally here in the Philippines, LHH have been supporting organizations in talent development and workforce transformation. This is our footprint, so we bring our global expertise, our global experience, but also, of course, mindful of the local and unique needs of our Filipino leaders. What we do in LHH is we deliver opportunity at every key career moment. So we do this by drawing upon 4 solution areas. We reveal, we reach, renew, and refresh. So that is LHH. And thank you so much for inviting me again to talk about leapfrogging digital talent development. And I would like to share with you, my topic is return on individuals, which is really about how do we develop our talents. And we all know that the future of work is changing. Our workforce of the future requires continuous development of the individuals, and past ways of working will not work in the future anymore. People have to transform. Our culture needs to fully embrace growth mindset, and we have to acknowledge that there will be high turnover of skill needs. However, we also have to recognize that the shelf life of skills are reducing more than ever before. Employees feel the pressure of acquiring the right skills to keep them employed and progressing in their jobs. Meanwhile, executives say that their organizations already have skills gap and they don't have the right talent to support their strategic initiatives and business strategy. So the employer needs and the employee skills are not aligned, while skills are evolving at a very rapid pace. So we all know that this is our situation now. However, we see that to address these challenges, all too often companies will prioritize their focus on restructuring their organization, re-engineering business processes, reorganizing their workforce or business activities. Many leaders view workforce management or talent development as a process by which there could be a surplus of workers with skills that do not match future needs are dismissed, and new workers with new skill sets are hired. This traditional view, we see restructuring as an external problem, which is fine as long as we're dealing with a capacity challenge. Consolidating, closing divisions or operations, or moving manufacturing to offshore jurisdictions will almost always trigger reductions in headcount. Capacity, however, is not the major driving force behind restructuring today. It's time to bring in new skills to help business transform how they do things or even what they do. That is a fundamentally different challenge that requires profoundly different solutions. Unfortunately, many of the world's leaders and most successful companies are still trapped in the endless cycle of hiring and firing and hiring and firing again. So this is when I introduce to you what the workforce, the ROI of the future world of work. It's time to rethink what your ROI could look like. So in LHH, we believe in the philosophy of renewable workforce. So people are, and Ms. Lynn has said this, Attorney Rico has said this, Sir Gigi has said this. People are the lifeblood of our economy. They are the innovators, the creators, the problem solvers, the heavy lifters. If they are optimistic about their jobs and their lives, they can drive business to new heights. The term future-proof, however, may suggest to many leaders the need to become labor market soothsayer, someone who can magically predict future workforce needs. But we know that predicting the future is a notoriously imprecise exercise. That is particularly so in our age today, when all this happened to us now. Technology and innovation have turned labor trends upside down as well. And we are all now really scrambling to find out how are we going to not just survive, but thrive during these times. So the key to workforce transformation now is adaptability. And we all know the benefit of investing on talent and their development. This is a study of ADECO, our parent company, and the Boston Consulting Group. So savings of $136,000 US dollars per person from reskilling and redeploying instead of laying off and hiring. Of course, we also have here higher productivity in organizations that has a coaching environment. We also recognize higher productivity among engaged employees. We also talk about the revenue per employee in firms that prioritize learning and development compared to the ones that don't invest in learning and development. However, we all know that, we all know these numbers. We have seen many different versions of these numbers. I just want to talk about, I'm sure our distinguished speakers who will speak after me will share great technology, great process. Hence, I want to start our discussion with the why. Why do we need to leapfrog digital talent development? Why do we have to be ruthless? Why do we have to pursue it with so much intensity? And I want to emphasize that spending does not mean more value. Strategy is more important than technology. And I want to start with this discussion, our discussion with this one, mindset is more important. I like this line from Alan Wild, former VP HR of IBM. It's worrisome that many leaders will stay silent when managers or the employees would struck efforts to deliver extended retraining. They would take someone off the front. Why take someone off the front line to train for a job that no one can define? So let's keep them working until they're no longer needed, then fire them and hire externally. I have seen wonderfully designed talent development programs not being maximized because leaders do not have the right mindset about these interventions. Participants are not able to attend because when the leaders can see their calendar, the leaders would pull them out from the trainings. LHH, for example, we have a dedicated technology team and researchers and program designers continuously making iterations. But I have seen companies where the leaders don't even come when we ask them to deliver a message, an inspirational message to encourage the participants. And since then, participants' attendance would start to decline. There's one company with the headquarters all the way from the Netherlands, was very supportive. And then after analyzing what happened, it appears that the managers did not have the right mindset and also the right skill set when it comes to talent development. So this is when I want to talk about talent development is a shared responsibility. We have fantastic technology that can support our talent development, but we have to start with having the right mindset first. Talent development is an organized, formalized, planned effort to achieve alignment between employees' needs and aspirations and the organization's workforce requirements. What we have to understand that it's manager enabled, it's organization supported, and it has to be employee driven. And that's when we see the investment from our talent development programs. We have to have leaders who have to have the right mindset in terms of talent development. They need to have the right skill sets to conduct dialogues about possibilities, and possibilities in career is not just vertical or relocation. We need to have leaders who are career advocates. I will go through some phases of an organizational maturity model in terms of talent development. This is a guide for how organizations can go from a hiring, firing model to a reskilling, renewing model. So very quickly, I will just go through what each stage look like. First is replaceable. We have investing differently in solutions. Of course, we have that. However, when we have excess talents, we fire them. Then we go to movable. Unstructured redeployment is the idea, but without offering any support on restructuring, on redeployment, we will not be able to help people land internal roles. And then we have here redefinable. So there is awareness to develop a redeployment strategy to achieve business outcomes. Employees now recognize a shift toward more people-centric strategies as executives support more initiatives that strengthen the culture. And then we have endurable, recognized as a true talent mobility organization with a people-first philosophy. So here, organization has innovations, they respond quickly to market changes. And then we have the last is renewable. So this is when we see a talent mobility ecosystem that drives change at individual level. So transparency, collaboration in career pathing is there, and employees' ideas are highly valued and encouraged regardless of level. So the question now is, Okay, so how do we fund the new ROI? It's not really about investing more, it's about investing differently. So reviewing our restructuring costs, our talent, our workforce transformation costs, free up funds so that we can invest in our people and we would be able to develop people who are ready for the future. Remember, renewable workforce lets us transform anxiety and fear around changing career moments to opportunities for growth and development for the employee and the employer. A challenge for everyone here. I want you to reflect on this question. Where are you now in terms of the organizational maturity model that I have shared with you? And where would you like your organization to be in the future? Not all would want to be at renewable. If you want to go to another phase, it's not an overnight thing. It takes time to organize, it takes time, it takes investment. And of course, it has to we need leadership commitment to make it happen. So that's something that I want to encourage everyone. Where are you now and where do you want to be? I love what MAP said about the great reset. I emphasize the word great because it will take a lot for us to reset. We need new hardware, new software. And of course, I'm just using that as metaphors. There's so much that we need to do to make sure that when we reset, we will all be successful. And that's why I say, when we reset, when I'm sure you're all familiar with cell phones or computers, we hard press on the start button and then the system would start to open again. And that's where I get the word reset. But I like that MAP is emphasizing the word great, because we don't just have to reset. We need to transform as well so that we would be able to take advantage of all the opportunities that comes our way. There are so many challenges, but there are also a lot of opportunities that can be leveraged if we have the right mindset in the organization about talent development. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joanne. I like that formulation that you made on talent development from replaceable to renewable and the need to transform. Thank you. New insights. Can we now call on our next panelist, the country head manager of Hopkins International Partners? May I call on Wallen Tan? Rex?
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here. So I'll do my quick presentation on leapfrogging digital talent development. So I wear two hats. My day job is the TOEIC, TOEFL, SAT. So kind of we do about 150 million assessments in 150 countries every year. But the joy is working with the Government Academic Industry Network with Dr. Peter Laurel and Ms. Monette Hamlin. So in this talk, I'll just be presenting some work we are really doing to help the country really develop and leapfrog this digital talent development. So some things we see in this world, I guess, there are two big leapfrogs in education. And the word leapfrog really comes from skipping a cycle. So when we look at some countries who have skipped the cycle and we go to Africa, we will notice that there are no landlines. There are no landlines. And the answer is why? Because by the time they had enough money, they just said, we'll just put cell phone towers. Why do we have to wire these things? So there are no landlines. And they started with cell phones. And they don't have banking infrastructure. So they leapfrogged the physical bank and went straight to digital banking. Right, so that's really where I see what leapfrog is, and when we look at talent development, I'd say there are two big things in this world. There is the Lowcost Tablet, and the second is a free world-class education at no cost. No one can actually see behind me, but I have a set of Encyclopedia Britannica from 1990, and I think you will know your age if you've owned one of these sets. It's a set of 12 books. It's a set of 12 books, and I think we can somehow reflect how many months payroll would that be? Or how long would it take a minimum wage earner 20 years ago to buy a set of 12 books? The Encyclopedia Britannica might be 4 months, 5 months of pay. There's even installment. So that's the first leapfrog, the low-cost tablet, that even a minimum wage earner can buy this gadget that can hold the world's body of knowledge relatively for 1 week instead of 6 months, 7 months of saving. Actually teach them the skills. So the first leapfrog is the low-cost tablet. And the second I'd like to say is a world-class education, really at no cost. So here's the low-cost tablet, and every year there is a contest called X Prize. Here you can see Elon Musk. Over there is Elon Musk. And I think in 2019 they won $15 million to really promote education in, I think this is in Kenya. This picture. And what this shows you is that, if they went the traditional route, raising salaries, training high quality teachers, etc., the things that matter in education, they wouldn't be able to leapfrog. And instead they said, to get all that human infrastructure in place will take 20 years. Let's try to skip the pack and just have the best low-cost tablet with the best software. So that's what they're trying to do. And they won a $15 million grant. But on the next slide, and this is the work I'm doing with GAIN, and also a little bit with PMAP, thankfully, is a world-class education for free. Now, look at, just imagine, a little bit of my background is I actually graduated with a Masters of Artificial Intelligence from Imperial College London. It was ranked about 5th in the world on all subjects. So I took a course recently, maybe a couple years ago, from this guy called Andrew Ng. He's the founder of Coursera, which is now worth $5 billion. It's listed. He's the founder of Google Brain. He's the head of Baidu. He was the head of Baidu, their AI team with 1,000 employees. And he's a professor for Stanford in AI. And his course is free. And I can say that I did the whole Ivy League thing. I know how much it costs. And I can say I learned more from the free course than my very expensive tuition in the UK. And second, you look at something like Cisco, and the only reason everyone can connect here today is they rely on some sort of network at home. So the whole world is on networks. Just 10 years ago, it would cost about $1 million to buy lab equipment to learn the Cisco technology. And to attend, even in the Philippines, the boot camp for the certified Cisco network associate is still $150,000, $200,000 per person. Now, that lab equipment can be virtualized with Cisco Packet Tracer. And the course is on YouTube. But I guess, and this is my second point, is what language is all of this in? The AI course of Andrew Ng, the CCNA, it's all in English. So that's our second thing, that 90% of the best education is free, but it's locked behind this language. So this is something we're passionate about. Way back before PISA in 2016, we said, what is the best CSR we can do for the country? And we said we hadn't had any international data since 2001. So we joined PISA in 2019. So for 20 years, there was nothing. So we decided to do this study at GAIN and Hopkins, and we found out, okay, 30% of Philippine college students have a grade 3 English level. So just for everyone in the crowd, that when we talk about digital skills, AI, what else? We talk about data analytics, just to be cognizant that 30% of our college students have grade 3 English. So even we want to shove that down their brain, that's kind of where they are at now. So we did that work. And found that out. And this is really the advocacy we push for, is that all the ASEAN countries and EU countries around the world, they use something called the CFR. Even organizations here United Nations, etc. So everyone has targets specified with a framework like the CFR. And the Philippines, we have no target across everything. So all we have are local standards which can be easily changed and moved, and it's very non-comparable. So we never know when the next PISA will be. So we'll never know if we will again wait another 20 years for data. That's pretty much the whole of my talk. The rest is just a thank you to PMAP. But I just like everyone to think about this. When we talk about academe industry, what skills matter, everyone to just think. I hope it's in the chat. If you could chat in the CHED policies. CHED, and this is their performance system, right? This is their performance system grading the public universities, which determine their payroll, which determine the salary grade, the budget. Their performance system determines everything. In the performance system, how many points do you think universities give, public universities give for graduate employability? And the answer is, when you look at the instrument, it's called the SUC leveling, but this administration's working on it. They give 1 point out of 100 for graduate employability. So that will affect, so when you understand what the presidents of these universities care about, they want a high performance, and has nothing to do 1 point for graduate employability out of 100. So industry can really make a big change, I feel, and this is thank you to President Lin, the Sir Rene of PMAP, Ms. Sarah, Alisa, the whole board, that you supported this project of Dr. Peter with Ms. Manette. We did this together. They released, I think this was a memo that came out in PMAP about 2 weeks ago, are really saying these are the levels we need in industry. And this clarified such a big issue with CHED. One of the biggest issues right now in education is nobody understands what industry wants, because it's always with something like good communication skills, proficient in something that doesn't make sense to academicians. So this is a framework that is actually used by both academia and industry. So when you actually say B2, there's like a 50-page curriculum document of what does B2 mean? How do I get textbooks to get there? What does this mean in industry? So by using these descriptors or levels that make sense to both parties, academia and industry, we can really do a lot. Okay, so this was September 3, I think just last week. We took those PMAP policies and we had a focus group immediately with CHED. They have 2 offices really devoted to academia in making sure they meet quality standards. And they said, okay, we can change those policies to make sure that we meet industry requirements. In October 6, we're going to be presenting that PMAP recommendation to 43 SUCs. And then on October 6 p.m., we'll be talking to I hope we scheduled to talk to the 7 accrediting agencies of higher ed QA. How do we put these industry standards into your QA systems so that these things will last, and it's not a big jump, but just a small change in their policies will really impact all kind of 2 million students, right? Instead of like, oh, we recommend this, but people might forget the recommendation. But if we're able to institutionalize things and understand what are the policies of CHED and DepEd, then it really goes much further. And I guess I'll just end with this. The greatest benefit I feel to using a framework that both industry and academia will use is industry also benefits. So I'll just talk about the 2 initiatives that will be launched this year, how industry will benefit. First is this became I started volunteering here, then it became like a thing. So I do this every weekend. I work with Duolingo as the curriculum developer for this English for Tagalog speakers course. So Duolingo is a $5 billion company. They listed last month on the stock exchange. It's the largest learning app in the world with about 10 million users. And anyway, the CEO announced on this YouTube clip that the course English for Tagalog speakers will be launched in Q4 of this year. What that means is 60 million Filipino smartphone users, not students, smartphone users will be able to learn for free. So that's not only academe, but that could be your janitor that you'd want to upskill, your security guard, your clerks that you'd like to upskill and one day leapfrog the digital talent divide. So they'll have that. And I even told my yaya of my kid, you know, next in 3 months, wag ka lang mag-TikTok. You just do this Duolingo, your life will get better. It's not super hard. So they'll have access to that. And then second is CHED allocated from both the Office of Senator Pia and CHED about 25 million in course development grants. And all 100 million Filipinos will benefit. So both academia and industry will really jointly benefit. So this is really a big thanks to everyone involved that we've gone this far. Miss Grace, Sir Rene, we've been doing this 4, 5, 6 years. Alisa, Sarah, so and Miss Lynn and the board. So I guess that's my whole talk, and I really hope that academia and industry can come together to leapfrog the digital skills needed.
Okay, thank you, Rex. Thank you. At this point, may I call on the Undersecretary for Digital Philippines of the Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT, Usec Emmanuel Ray R. CAINTIC. Usec?
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're coming in fine, Usec.
To the Management Association of the Philippines President, Mr. Aurelio Montinola III, to People Management Association of the Philippines President, Ms. Angelina Muki, and to everyone present today, isang magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Slide please. Even before the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic throughout the world, we already wanted to improve the state of the Philippines ICT landscape to be at par with our global leaders, global neighbors. We have all experienced the inconvenience of a slow internet connection, and we have seen how it hinders economic development. Many of our kababayan still lack the necessary knowledge and skills to keep pace with the ever-evolving digital world. As a response to this crisis, your Department of Information and Communications Technology accelerated its plans to assist the government with its digital transformation to meet the fast-evolving demands of our society. This year, we have adopted the CHIP conceptual framework of World Bank. The framework presents 4 key components for accelerating the digital transformation of the nation: Connect, Harness, Innovate, Protect, or CHIP for short. Connect emphasizes the need for an established digital infrastructure foundation of the country. Affordable and reliable internet connectivity is a prerequisite to be able to participate in the digital economy. We are developing the Digital Infrastructure Plan, or DIP, which aims to improve the quality and reliability of internet connectivity in the Philippines, and to offer low-cost internet that is affordable to our average Filipino. One of the flagship programs of the DICT under the DIP is the National Broadband Program, which acts as a flagship or blueprint for our quick deployment of fiber optic cables and wireless technologies for the overall improvement of the nation's internet in terms of speed, reliability, affordability, and accessibility. We will also complement the NBP with regional rings of connectivity in various regions in the country to provide resiliency and redundancy. The Free Wi-Fi for All program, which provides last-mile connectivity to public places such as barangay centers, schools, and health facilities, is another relevant program under the Connect component. In August 2021, we have established more than 10,000 sites throughout the country. And even during the pandemic, your DICT has been busy ramping up our efforts to provide connectivity to various essential locations such as the rural health units and quarantine facilities. In the year 2020 alone, we were able to increase our activation sites by 500%. Having this in mind, there are still a number of Filipinos without access to the internet. We have been developing VSAT satellites to various far-flung areas in the archipelago, as we want to ensure that no place will be left behind in the digitalization of our country. The final component of DIP is the National Government Data Center, which allows secure, efficient, and strategic storing of ICT system and data of the different government agencies. We now provide on-premise and cloud hosting services, as well as co-location services to various government agencies locally to host their content. We are also aiming to build more data centers and content delivery networks across the archipelago to improve the latency of data and the overall user experience. With the urgent need to equip Filipino educators, learners, and workers with the appropriate skills needed to achieve in the digital economy, we are investing in digital education, skills, and jobs, and under the harness component of CHIP. The DICT is implementing digital workforce through the ICT Academy program, which aims to develop the capacity and capability of Filipino workforce, especially government ICT leaders and managers. Under the ICT Academy program is the IT Business Process Management Upskilling and Reskilling Project, which focuses on the delivery of necessary training and coaching to guide Filipinos to land jobs in the IT BPM industry. Complementing the digital workforce through ICT Academy is the upgrading of our Tech for Ed centers into ITU-recognized and globally recognized Digital Transformation Centers, or DTCs. These centers are shared facilities that will provide learners and workers access to ICT-enabled services and training to unserved and underserved communities in the countryside. And then we have the Digital Cities and Provinces program, which is aimed at enabling the chosen 25 cities and provinces by creating and developing ICT hubs for the IT BPM industry. This hopefully will decongest the metro cities and encourage business investments in the countryside. The Innovate key driver calls for exploring the potentials of technology in improving government services and the lives of our countrymen. The DICT is implementing programs that will utilize digital solutions in solving both old and emerging issues. Pursuant to the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Act, the DICT has been implementing digital government programs which aims to assist the national and local government agencies in streamlining the services through various online platforms. We have been developing the Central Business Portal, or CBP, which makes it easier for businesses to apply online for the necessary permits and licenses from different national government agencies and LGUs to start their respective businesses. Through the CBP, the government can ensure easier monitoring and regulation of business registration traffic. In addition, the DICT has implemented the Electronic Business Permits and Licensing System, which offers to help in the expedition of the processing and issuance of permits and licenses for businesses. The DICT is also doing its part in aiding the government in its fight against COVID-19 pandemic by offering support to the COVID-19 immunization program through the Vaccine Information Management System. The VIM serves as the single source of all information related to the vaccination program of the government. And our goal is to support the government's objective of vaccinating as many Filipinos as we can, as soon as we can, with as little wastage as possible. This could not have been made possible without the help from key national government agencies, such as the Department of Health, local government units, and the private sector. Through the directives of the IATF, the DICT has recently done the soft launch of the VAXART PH. The VAXART PH is a key component of VIMS, and it is compliant to the World Health Organization digital documentation on COVID-19 certificates. With VAXART PH, individuals who have been vaccinated in the Philippines will be able to provide an official document for their vaccination, which can easily be recognized and securely verified using the current digital technologies. This will help our OFWs and kababayans greatly. The final key driver of the CHIP framework is PROTECT, which involves mitigating risks and threats in the digital economy using technology and responsive policies, as well as providing the people with knowledge and tools to protect themselves. The DICT is continuously employing and promoting the cybersecurity management platform to all government agencies and critical information infrastructure, and aims to make the Philippine government more secure and resilient in cyberspace, as well as to safeguard the Filipinos in the cyber realm. The National Computer Emergency Response Team utilizes the CSMP and other tools to deliver frontline services such as handling of early threat detection, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, the conduct of cyber drills and cyber incident responses, with actionable intelligence for government agencies and critical information infrastructures. The DICT, through its Cybersecurity Bureau, underscores the importance of personal and organizational cyber hygiene awareness. We have been continuously delivering cyber-related trainings and webinars to the general public. And lastly, the Philippine National Public Key Infrastructure, or PNPKI, ensures a secure and reliable online delivery of services between one government to another and between the government and its people. It provides secure digital certificates to attest the veracity of documents and transactions. The PNPKI, by enabling secure signing of documents, is critical to digitizing the workflow of our government. We have seen substantial improvement in the condition of the country in terms of digital transformation. The DICT has reached remarkable milestones in various fronts, improving our internet performance, providing connectivity to far-flung areas, and allowing more government agencies to host their content and systems in either physical data centers and cloud hosting services. We have also fortified our online security by utilizing cyber technologies and educating Filipinos on how to be responsible digital citizens. This is only the start of our mission to have a digital Philippines that is comparable to our international peers. We can achieve this through everyone's unrelenting support in our endeavors. It is our hope that with our continuous collaboration, we will be able to accelerate the digital transformation of the country. Thank you and keep safe, everyone.
Thank you, Usec, for sharing your valuable time with us, with the members of both MAP and PMAP at this joint GMM. Thank you, Usec, CAINTIC. At this point, may I call on our international panelist, the international advisor and author, president of GATE International, and also a member of the G20, B20 Global Task Force, Dr. Henry Kh1. Dr. Henry?
Thank you very much, Rico, and very glad to be talking to you all. I'd like to share my presentation with you. In my presentation today, I'll be basing it on my work with the G20, B20 International Task Force and the 5 books that I publish and the 100 papers and speeches that I've given globally. The topics I like to address is on digital growth and also the linkages with climate change and also impact investment which Philippines is doing a lot of work on. Then I go into my work and the invitation by Italy to join the G20, B20 task force and the policy paper that we are preparing for the G20 Leaders Summit later on this year. And I'll share with you also the 3 key recommendations that we have on digital skills, labor policy, inclusive recovery. And then I'll end with a key summary. First of all, on digital growth, I think Asia and Philippines are very important in terms of global digital growth and e-commerce. And Google and other leading companies have forecasted that Southeast Asia will be one of the fastest growing internet markets globally. And also, there will be huge number of young population, over 70% of this will be internet users and active on the digital landscape. And also Philippines, in my last speech to the MAP CEO conference, Philippines is the world's 6th largest growing, fastest growing gig economy, with growing numbers of digital freelancers and IT experts. And it's overtaken India as one of the leading chatbox countries, employing over 1 million staff. And on the international slide, I'm also very, very glad that my Rotary Club, in the Rotary Club of Tai Po in Hong Kong, is collaborating with the Rotary Club of St. Lorenzo in Manila on our joint computer tech for education computer project. This is really something to promote international digital education. But digital is also very much linked to our efforts globally on combating climate change. I think climate change is a serious international global issue. And if the temperatures continue to rise, then it could lead to huge damages in global ecosystem. For example, the B20 task force on the Paris Agreement and climate change has forecasted if the temperature rises on the current path by 4 degrees, then this could damage the world's GDP by 30%. And this is what's happening with COVID and the damages that it's doing to our GDP internationally is a foretaste of what is likely to come by the end of the century. But the world is reacting to this, and there's been tremendous growth in global renewable investments. It's risen from, there's been about $1 trillion invested since 2013, and $200 billion of new investment, and a huge number of digitization accompanying these new global renewable investments, such as digital power management systems and mini grids, and these are very important digital developments. At the same time, in my speech in the last MAP CEO conference, I think Philippines is also very active in impact investment, which cover both the social investment and also green investment areas. And I'm also very glad to see that the Philippines SEC is pushing ESG requirements for companies in the Philippines on better reporting on environment, social, and governance performances. And these are very important. So coming to the G20, B20 International Task Force, I'm very glad that to be invited by the G20 presidency of Italy, which is leading the B20 Global Task Force, with over 100 representatives from 18 countries covering, and there are many task forces covering different areas as well. And we're working very hard on a very tight time frame, and also with the COVID restrictions, to prepare the policy paper for the G20 Leaders Summit meeting in Q4 of this year. In our task force, the policy paper will identify future global goals based on 3 key priorities, which is covering skills, productivity and growth, and inclusive opportunities. And these takes into account the COVID impacts and consequences, and what policy actions that different countries should take. So in this slide summarizes the proposed goals with the recommendations and policy actions that we would present to the G20 leaders in the summit. And these covers things like partnership, global partnership, support to entrepreneur, youth digital training. Let me just go very quickly into some of these areas. In one of our key first recommendation is really preparing the workforce for future industrial development and digitization. And these covers, really the very fast evolving human digital workplace and partnership on digital skills planning and promoting lifelong digital learnings. And we also have to rethink and improve the digital learning infrastructure globally and in different countries. In the second key recommendation, which is really to improve labor markets, we talked about accelerating digital labor market reforms, promoting dynamic and more flexible labor markets, and also increasing the support to digital SMEs and entrepreneurs. And something you will hear a lot more is really encouraging the development of active labor market policies, ALMPs, in different countries around the world. And these will be discussed more by the G20 leaders, and also with leaders of different countries. In the third area, really, is to ensuring inclusive opportunities as we build up the digital workplace of the future. And this key policy actions will include stimulating youth digital employment, empowering women across the workforce. And very important area is really promoting worker transition, improving social protection systems, improving sustainability, so that we can cater for future shocks and future pandemics, so that we can pick up the learnings that we have had from COVID. So summarizing, I've talked about the importance of digital growth and the strong linkages there are to the climate problems, and also impact and green investments, which is growing in Philippines as well as globally. I've shared with you the work in the G20 and B20 task force, which is currently led by the presidency in Italy. And we are preparing, we're all working very hard on preparing our policy papers and recommendation to the G20 leaders in their global summit at the later part of this year. And our recommendation will cover its improvements in digital skills, improvements in labor policies, and also building up inclusive opportunities and improving the sustainability of the systems that we have and workplace that we have. so that we can achieve sustainable global recoveries. So thank you very much, and allowing me to speak to you and welcome any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Wang. Indeed, there will be questions later, but for now, well, I understand that the Secretary for Science still has to log in. So we might as well take advantage of this time while our other guests are around, and especially Usec, CAINTIC, I gather, has to attend to another meeting after a few minutes, but may I therefore throw the first question to him. Usec, you've mentioned the various programs of the department. You might have heard probably of the PISA results, touched a little bit by one of our speakers, Rex, and the PISA, which surveyed the comparative rankings of Filipino students versus about 70 or so other countries, revealed quite appalling results as to the competitiveness of our students. How do you think can emerging technologies and digital tools be effectively integrated in our basic education to uplift our degraded educational standards, Usec, if only to catch up with those of our neighbors in ASEAN and probably render our youth more competitive, especially in light of our advantage at having a demographic sweet spot this current years. Usec?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Well, it's been a long time since I've been in grade school, no? But I remember back in when I was young, the way you do mastery is to do drills, and you do it. Repetition allows you to understand something and be able to do it quickly. So when you do your drills in math and you do your drills in other things, that's how you are able to enhance your skill set. And where digital technologies could come in is that we're now able to have access to a lot of materials online. And the teachers need not even concentrate on building. Dati-dati, all the teachers have so busy trying to prepare the drills and the things that they have to give their students. With digital technologies now, the teachers can focus rather on coaching and being able to tutor the student on what they cannot understand. And then instead of spending so much time trying to prepare for the lessons, they're now able to coach the students better. And then the students by themselves with their parents can now do the drills at home. So our focus in the DICT is, number one, for you to do this, it has to be connectivity. And we have been helping the telcos increase the quality of their connectivity by making it easier for them to build more infrastructure. Secondly, we are also pushing for the creation of various content delivery networks, because one of the things that is making it costly is that most of the content are still international. And if we can build content delivery networks here, most of the content will be cached here in the Philippines. And so that even with a limited bandwidth, the latency is not suffered. So yun yung mga initial thoughts ko on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Usec. At this point, one of our MAP members has a question about one of your specific programs. The VAX certification has been launched, as you mentioned, scheduled in September. But the question is, when is VAX certification really coming out for the public? Is this already available?
Yesterday, we did a soft launch. The system is ready for nationwide rollout. However, The challenge is that the quality of data that has been submitted by the LGUs is of varying degrees. And we are trying to make it easy for the LGUs to be able to rectify the records because the records came from them. It is for them to fix it as well. So what are we trying to do? We are trying to do a soft launch so that we can allow the LGUs across the country, we're testing it with the NCR for now, allow them time to be able to rectify the data and learn from the nuances and lessons in the next 2-3 weeks or more, whatever it takes, so that all the other LGUs can then master it. Not all LGUs are created equal, no? There are a lot of LGUs we do not have the equipment and the manpower. So it allows us to do some break-in period. Pretty soon, as soon as we've perfected the dynamics between our contact center and our LGUs, then we should be okay to launching it nationwide soon. I just need the go signal from the IATF. But mind you, no, we're very much advanced. Japan nga is putting up their VAXART on December. The World Health Organization is so happy because as soon as, even before they publish the document, the standard last July 27, we were already in talks with them. So we're one of the very few countries who have espoused the standard of World Health. The challenge now nga for World Health is allowing all the other countries to subsume the certificate. And we are already, on September 6, we were able to already go live. The World Health is very much happy with our output. So we are not late, sir. No? In fact, we're one of the earliest adopters in the world for this vaccine certificate. Thank you.
Thank you, Usec. But on that, do you see the database and the possible rollout happening, let's say, sometime next month, October, or in November yet, thereabouts?
The database is here, no? As I said, but the LGUs are finding it more and more that the data that they hastily submitted, sorry for the word, that they submitted needs some rectification, and it's not a bad thing for them, no? When we started the vaccination last March, absent kasi a national identity or means for us to do a digital recording of the vaccination, we have to really rely on the religiousness of encoders on the ground during the vaccination. But aside from that, amidst all that, they have been able to submit the data. So maybe in a month's time, when they are able to they got used to already rectifying the records and making it easy for them and fast for them, then perhaps a nationwide launch would pretty soon be tenable. Thank you.
Yeah. Pasensya na kayo, Usec. Meron pang dalawang questions dito. There's an observation that the bandwidth speed is one of the slowest in Asia and Southeast Asia. What steps, if any, is government taking in this regard?
Okay, thank you. I really, we're being asked for the bandwidth, but the bandwidth is dependent on the private sector, on the telcos. But as the DICT, our job is to make it easy for them to expand and grow their networks and improve. How do we do this? Number one, last year, we created a joint memorandum circular, making it very standard for them so that there's no more red tape. So along with ARTA and several other government agencies. That's a landmark legislation, no? We drastically reduced the duration of tower build-outs from a span of 200 days to merely 15 days. However, the next challenge is there are still some LGUs or government agencies. There are still some challenges on the fiber build-out. So our next challenge, our next goal is for fiber, the equivalent on fiber. Number three, we are also creating a plan for digital infrastructure, common digital infrastructure, meaning to say the government itself will be the prime proponent like in many countries, wherein the common digital infrastructure, we're thinking about shared fiber conduits and even shared fibers, and then just share the spectrum, no, to other telco players. This will dramatically increase the number of players in that regard. Number 4, we are helping Congress. We have been advocating for the liberalization of our telco industry to allow foreign players and even foreign investments. And number 5, in the next few days, we will be launching the Tower and Fiber Watch. We call it Tower Watch. This portal will allow the stakeholders and the government agencies involved the same transparency. So it's like price discovery in the financial markets, no? When everybody sees the same thing, there's no corruption and processes will become faster. So now the telcos and the towers and the fiber companies can see the same, see the same tracking of their permits, the duration wherein they have been held up on certain things. It will now be visible. So that's our plan, Rico. We cannot solve the investments, but we can allow for investments to be more stable, more predictable. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Usec. Yes, I can confirm that in conversations with key clients, the telcos, that particular provision of the Bayanihan law that allowed them to really fast track tower development indeed played a lot sense, and they did fast track the towers that came about. And apart from, of course, the impact, I suppose, of the allowance by government of common towers networks, no? Now, on your statement about investments into the industry, I gather there's a proposal that the Public Service Act be amended to include the possibility of foreigners going into the telecoms industry. Although that is a hot topic, that's a sensitive matter. There are pros and cons. Security analysts and commentators probably have objections, but let's see what happens there, Usec. Thank you. Now, there's this last question before you go, hopefully, or there's another. I don't know how long you can be with us, but there are, I see in the Q&A, 2 other questions concerning your department, Usec. One, just be quick. On the digital signature PKI, many government agencies still don't accept it as a valid signature. How is DICT trying to get governmental compliance with the PKI, if you can share with us?
Okay, actually, there's a department circular. And by law, a department circular is as good as an EO, short of the EO. The challenge kasi talaga is, number 1, a lot, we are still awaiting for COA's go signal that vouchers and other financial related be allowed to be digitally signed, because many of the transactions are already can be signed digitally. With that, everything else will follow. But mind you, contracts, circulars are now being digitally signed. Last year, Mr. GUZMAN, at the start of the pandemic, people were thinking we had to go. What did the ICT start doing last March of last year? The first order given to us by the president, by the IATF, was help the government agencies work from home. So one of the 2 things that we had to do was to create massive purchases. Massive alignments, rather, not purchases. Massive alignments with the collaboration tools, and at the same time, we did mass registrations of PNPKI. So the Department of Budget, the Office of the President, they had to go online. But we also had to be the ones to espouse the signing of digital certificates. The DICT, when sadly last March of 2020, I found out was not was barely about 20-25% using the digital signature. So one of the things that we had to mandate first is the ICT, everybody must sign digitally. So, you know, you have to practice what you preach before you ask other agencies to go on and do it.
Okay.
So, but that's the silver lining of COVID, Mr. D. GUZMAN. Because of COVID, a lot of take-up from the Bureau of Treasury to the Department of Finance, a lot of them took up digital signatures. Because what else can you do? You have to sign digitally, or else you will have to go to the office. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Now that hopefully while you're still around, there is this important query from one of our members who says that most of the education content is on the cloud, furnished by cloud providers like Amazon, Google, etc. No, and the question is there what about the extension of the CDN locally? Are you setting up content creators here or the likes of Amazon to get to have their presence here done? Any comments, sir?
We're doing one up better, no? Amazon, Oracle, Azure, Alibaba even. I think I'm meeting with them soon, tomorrow. So I think Google will follow suit. We have espoused the creation of regional dedicated cloud regions. So what's the dedicated cloud region? Imagine Amazon having its own servers here. So they will now invest in outposts. Oracle will also have its own dedicated cloud region pretty soon. So for government agencies, so to observe the cloud first policy, it will not be hard for them. So for example, BIR, they can choose to go cloud, and yet the data residency stays in the Philippines, because pretty soon Oracle and Amazon will have their servers here in the Philippines. So ongoing yun. It will be housed in the national government data centers. So we are providing the infrastructure, the facilities, and then the Amazons and the likes will now just have to invest through their partners with the machines that will host their servers. So imagine that Amazon is actually here through some servers they manage.
It's good to note that, Usec. Thank you for sharing that. There is this query from one of the attendees from CHED, who is asking, how does the digital transformation roadmap link with the artificial intelligence strategies roadmap of DTI? And also, what is the status of the national cybersecurity plan, where one of the goals is to create a pool of cybersecurity experts in the country? Usec?
It's not that I'm not much into the AI, no. But you were even saying earlier, ang baba pa nga natin sa basic education eh. And honestly, kung ako tatanungin nyo, I'd focus first on fundamental computing knowledge. I want to teach that first. Honestly, we're not even the best of the best. I want that first, and I do not want to preempt what other the AI. Honestly lang if you're going to ask me, I cannot say that we have reliable IT professionals yet. So ang aking focus sa DICT, sa ICT Academy, is really to make better CIOs in government, make better IT professionals in government so that they can digitally transform. Yun talaga focus ko. No use going high-tech, but when a lot of government agencies do not even have fundamental online transactions, their transactions are still not online. That's my basic achievement. That's the basic focus, Mr. D. GUZMAN. So walang conflict, because ako, ang focus namin sa DICT, back to basics. Force the transformation first in the government agencies. A lot of them still don't have online systems.
Salamat
so wala
po.
pang high-tech doon.
Salamat po, Usec. Salamat po. Well, there is this query from a journalist, member of MAP, who is asking, I don't know, you might want to comment or not, but he asked, Usec, how do you deal with BIR making discrepancies assessments and asking for meetings and records during the COVID lockdown? Thanks. Well, he identified himself, Tony Lopez.
Okay, I cannot speak for BIR's processes, no, but I can assure you that the present IT leadership, DEPCOM Lani David, is very much bent IRIS, Integrated Revenue Information System. Again, that is important because it's fully online. It's now responsive to the new tax regimes and tax codes. I want to help her, and we're collaborating properly, intensively on making that live. I hope that the automation of BIR will allow them to reduce the manual and inconvenience that it's giving to its taxpayers. But I cannot comment on their processes, right? Because I'm not part of their bureaucracy. But I'm helping them is on allowing them to roll out that IRIS, because their system ITS 94 pa yata yun eh. I was still in college when I already remember that. So it's long overdue. It's 30 years old already.
There is this question, Usec. You may or may not comment again, but talking about the DICT leadership, there's the observation that is he or is he not an ICT person, as to why is the Secretary of ICT a military person in the ICT?
You know, our leader, Secretary Hunasan, is a very tough boss. When I give a commitment, his first question is, when can you give it? So he's after deadlines and commitments, and he is able to address the leadership void. No, his contribution for us is not may not be on the technical side, but it is on the political leadership. Government agencies like us need to tread on a lot and need political leadership, as well as also operational leadership. So Secretary Hunasan is a very capable leader and a very results-oriented person. He doesn't really like it when I give excuses. When I promise him July and it's not on July, he will have my, you know what, okay? So that's what his contribution is to the Philippine DICT. It is making us true to our deadlines. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maraming salamat po, Usec. Those are all the the questions addressed to DICT. And thank you again for napaunlakan nyo kami, and we know you're busy. Maraming salamat po.
Salamat.
At this point, I will ask a question addressed to Dr. Wang. Henry, there is this query on how are the G20 digital strategies and programs for young people different from those of the UN? G20 represents more of the world in money terms and not people, which UN does. Your comment, Henry? You're on mute. You're on mute.
Turn it on. Thank you very much for the good question. We work very closely between G20 with the UN and also other international agencies who are part of our team. In fact, in our task force, we have representatives from international organizations like the UN and international labor organizations and other international organizations. And we have also CEOs from different countries and global experts in this area. So in this case, they are able, therefore, to cross-fertilize and get the global views in these areas. And as such, then at the same time, they are able to take these recommendations back to their own organizations so that these ensure that these are fertilized into the policies and plans which are developed by the different organizations. But in the end of the day, of course, each of the international organizations have their own jurisdictions and their own missions and own requirements to develop their own business plans. But hopefully this will be over or under a global umbrella, which are endorsed by the G20 leaders. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Wang. Beth, Arnold, do we already have the presentation from DOST? Not yet?
It's not on board yet.
Oh, okay. Now, I might as well ask the panelists, you might have your views. I might as well share with the audience now that, well, you know, on May 9, 2021, Business World opinion columnist and economist Andrew J. Masiga noted that 7,233 Filipino students participated in the 2018 program of International Student Assessment, or PISA, that was referred to by Rex earlier. And there are about 600,000 or so 15-year-old students from 79 countries who participated in this study. And Filipino students, not to be expected, posted the following ratings. No, in reading, 79 out of 79. In math, 78 out of 79. In science, 71 out of 79, at par only with Panama. The average Filipino student was noted to have an average IQ of 86, compared to 108 for the average Singaporean student. Now, I will ask those who care to respond, especially the Filipino panelists, what do you think should the government be doing to raise these rankings of our students, to leapfrog beyond that of Panama in science, and lessen the gap at least in IQ levels between our students and the Singaporean students? So Rex, probably you might want and are eager to answer that. Can you?
Yeah, so anyway, in the same office as TOEIC, TOEFL, and SAT, across the hall is the PISA office. So ETS also manages the PISA test. So I got to talk to the program developer a couple of times. PISA isn't meant to show where an individual student is. It's what you call a country summative assessment. It's just meant to show how one country compares to another. So it's really not meant to track an individual learner. My comment really is, when you look at, I guess, the DepEd standards or the DepEd learning competencies, all the competencies are internally developed. What does that mean is basically they come up with their own standards and they come up with their own tests, and there's really not much accountability there. There's actually I would say very little, because they develop their tests, they develop their, and what they're doing today, which I disagree with, is curriculum change. So they're changing the curriculum like that's going to make a large impact. So I would really recommend, again, just using, and similar to DICT, using at least benchmarking with international standards like the CFR. For digital skills, you have in Europe, what the EU has what's called the DigComp initiative. So same thing, it's a framework that can be used for digital, or ISTE in America. So to me, the best solution of where we're at is just transparency. Let's just set kind of some standards based on CFR and DigComp, and then the big, and we get that data transparency. And second, we're now part of a whole world. So what DepEd tries to do often is localize, and they'll be the only ones in the world developing the content for themselves. But if you look at joining, say, DigComp, then you're kasali in the EU budget, because the EU will be putting funding in developing course content, in developing the assessments, in developing, and when you look at the CFR, which I mentioned, you get all these language learning companies like Duolingo, $5 billion companies, saying we're going to develop free resources for you. So my opinion is it's just joining these international standard frameworks, getting transparency, and really, stop localizing things so much.
Okay. Thank you, Rex. Joanne or Dr. Wang, would you care to comment? At least a short comment or from your end? Joanne, anything?
Having met and heard Rex several times, and also because I'm with PMAP, I think I am not an expert in the academe, or I have no experience there. But I think seeing the work of Rex, we have so much opportunity to partner with a lot of experts so that we would be able to, leapfrog where we are now. So that's just my mindset, my thoughts there, Attorney Rico.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Wang, any care to speak or? Sure.
Well, I think it is very important. I think thanks for sharing this important. I think it is very important. I think one of our key finding is really lifelong digital education. And this is important for the young people anywhere in Philippines and in the world to participate in this. And this covers me too. I mean, as an old person, I found I'm never too old to improve my digital knowledge, particularly during COVID. I'm learning a lot of digital skills in COVID, and also meeting online and also speaking online, which I think make the world closer together. This is one of the benefits of COVID. Thank you.
Okay, at this point, I was told that I understand the DOST is ready to make its presentation. So can we see it, Arnold, Beth?
Mr. Belga, no sound. Mr. Belga, it's not working.
So Arnold, no can do?
They're not able to play it, so it's from their end. It's not from the Secretariat.
Okay. Okay. At this point, okay, let's attend to this query sent by our participant also from CHED for Dr. Wang. And Dr. Wang, on the inclusive opportunities given the approach is more of a national internal matter. Is there really an action on the part of the B20 or G20 to have inclusive opportunities for global external concerns such as inclusive survival of countries in this time of pandemic, inclusive production of skilled workforce for the new normal, etc.? Would you care to comment?
Well, I think this is an important question. Of course, we respect the different countries will choose to develop their own plans and policies according to the requirement of their own countries and the political drivers that they have in their countries. What we comment here on a global basis is that we found that promoting inclusivity across the world helps to contribute to a more sustainable recovery, both in the digital area as well as in global economy. And in this area, what we suggest is that consider inclusivity in your planning of the different country, and how the different country execute this is, of course, based on the decision of their leaders and their local requirements. But it is important to consider the needs of the women groups, the underprivileged groups, the youth development, the youths in the countries. And these are important areas which can contribute to sustainable recovery and development for different countries across the world. Hopefully it helps. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Wang. So Arnold, are we ready?
Yes, yes, they can play it already.
Okay.
To Aurelio Gigi Montinola, President of the Management Association of the Philippines, to Lynn Mukhi, the President of the Personnel Management Association of the Philippines, to Attorney Francis Ed Lim, the Chair of the Membership Committee of MAP, to my fellow presenters today, Undersecretary EMMANUEL CAINTIC, and Dr. Henry Wang, Rosario Asetre, and Rex Tan, to all the members and participants present, good morning, everyone. I'm very pleased to be with you in today's conference or membership meeting with the theme Leapfrogging Digital Talent Development. And I am honored and pleased to share with you the programs of the Department of Science and Technology that contribute or that would contribute to this leapfrogging in digital talent development. So my presentation here that I'm sharing is entitled DOST Programs on the Digital Talent Development. Let me start by showing you the next slide, which gives an outline of my presentation. So very simple, just a mention of the DOST mandate. The DOST is strategic plan. We also have the DOST outcome and agenda on digital talent development, the scholarship programs that we have, and the projects, activities, and programs on digital talent development, as well as DOST-initiated competitions on digital talent development. As far as our mandate is concerned, it says in our mandate that DOST shall provide the central direction, leadership, and coordination. We can see this in the next slide, of scientific and technological efforts, and ensure that the results therefrom are geared and utilized in areas of maximum economic and social benefits for the people. So this is shown in the next slide. Okay, that's the mandate. Next slide will show us our strategic plan, which is contained in the medium-term development plan of the Philippines, covering the period 2017 to 2022. So this is actually what is contained in chapter 14, which is devoted to advancing science, technology, and innovation. And if I may just read aloud the outcome that are listed here. Outcome 1, innovation is stimulated. Outcome 2, technology adoption promoted and accelerated. Outcome 3, critical mass of globally competitive science, technology, and innovation human resources developed. Outcome 4, productivity and efficiency of communities and the production sector, particularly the micro, small, and medium enterprises, improved. Outcome 5 is resiliency to disaster risk and climate change ensured. Now, we have also an outcome 6, which is to reduce the inequality in science, technology, and innovation capacities and opportunities. And outcome 7 is effective science, technology, and innovation governance achieved. So we prepared our DOST 11-point agenda after we got the 10-point economic agenda of the president at that time, and considering the outcomes that we have in the Philippine Development Plan, the chapter on science, technology, and innovation. And actually here, you will see that a big part of our 11-point agenda is devoted to research and development, research and development addressing pressing national problems, the conduct of R&D to enhance productivity, engaging in R&D to generate and apply new knowledge and technologies across sectors, to strengthen and utilize regional research and development capabilities. And this is what we have been doing, establishing, supporting, and developing research centers in the regions, maximizing the utilization of research and development results. And then we have agenda number 6, which is the development of STI human resources. And item 7 is upgrading of science, technology, and innovation facilities and capacities. And we also have agenda item 8, which is expanding science and technology assistance to communities and to production sectors, particularly the micro, small, and medium enterprises. Number 9 is to provide science and technology and innovation-based solutions for disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation. Agenda number 10 is strengthen industry, academic, government, and international collaboration in science, technology, and innovation. And the last one, item 11, agenda item 11, is enhancing effectiveness of science, technology, innovation, governance. Next slide, please. Now let us focus on our topic today, Digital Talent Development Program. Okay, this is contributing to the following. Outcome 3, which I mentioned earlier, which is having developed the critical mass of globally competitive STI human resources. And in our 11-point agenda, this is item 6, developing STI resources and building a strong STI culture. Next slide, please. So this particular slide shows you our program on scholarships. Okay, in addition to running 16 campuses of the Philippine Science High School, DOST also offers scholarships at different levels. So for example, for undergraduates, we have here 3 categories under Republic Act 7687. We have Republic Act 10612 and Republic Act 2067. The first one, RA 7687, actually mandates us to make sure that we give scholarships to students coming from families below the poverty level. And we have Republic Act 2067. This is also the baccalaureate scholarships, where we do not consider income level for as long as they get the high cut-off, okay, in our selection. They are called the merit scholars. And we also have a scholarship program for those who are joining the scholarships at third-year level. This is Republic Act 10612. And in this particular case, this law was sponsored by the late Senator Angara. And this was intended, okay, to add to our pool of science and math teachers. So whatever the course that they take, whether it is engineering or the physical or natural sciences or mathematics, after graduation, they are required to teach. This shows the statistics on the number of scholars that we administer or support. And actually, it has been growing from year to year thanks to the increase in allocation coming from the Department of Budget and Management. So you can see here, for example, the figures for 2021 are not complete. This is a case wherein we awarded the scholarships quite late because we were not allowed to give exams face-to-face. So you can see an increase from year to year, except that in the case of the BS scholarships, and in the case of BS scholarships for 2021, the figure 25,452 is not yet complete. This is the time that we were not able to announce the qualifiers early. It was only last week that we were able to announce the qualifiers. So this table does not include yet those qualifiers. Next slide, please. Now, I just want to show here the number of scholars that are in so-called ICT-related courses. Okay, so yeah, in this particular table, we can see programs like computer engineering, computer science, information and communications technology, information systems, information technology, and computer application. So, for example, we are at the level of 2,498, okay, in BS and 231 in MS and 26 at the PhD level. Next slide, please. Now, what are our programs? Okay, activities and projects on digital talent development. Next slide. Okay, so this is a program that we have addressing our desire to catch up, okay, in the area of artificial intelligence, data analytics, and data science. If I may share with you some experience I had way back in 1985 or 1984, I was still the planning officer of DOST at that time, and I was asked to write an article saying the science and technology system in the year 2000. Okay, so that was 16 years ahead. And I did interview people from academia, from research institutions, from business. And one of the things I was able to include after all this information gathering is to include a paragraph saying that there will be research and development activities. Okay, so this is one of our catch-up programs. It's called Smarter Philippines Through Data Analytics, R&D Training and Adoption, or SPARTA. This is really an online course that we requested the development of Academy of the Philippines to administer. Okay, and of course, with the design of the courses done by the Data Analytics Association of the Philippines, and we opened the 30,000 slots. Okay, so We are almost through with the 30,000. Maybe there are around 3,000 to 4,000 slots remaining. And actually, they can choose the courses that they can take, whether they will start with data analytics or data science, or they will go into artificial intelligence courses. So, so far, the progress of the students taking this is good. And in fact, we are supporting some of their capstone projects, okay, that are intended to be used when they go back to their workplaces. Most of them come from the BPO sector, from academia, and also from government. Next slide, please. The establishment of this Advanced Mechatronics, Robotics, and Industrial Automation Laboratory, or AMERIAL, will serve as a complementary facility to support manufacturing resurgence that will make technology-based processes available to more industries. Okay. Actually, through this facility, we have already developed 5 automated machines with intellectual property, okay, like the adult ventilator, the collaborative robots, the automated irrigation controller, and the localized dialysis machine, which is still ongoing, an ongoing development. Next slide, please. From the webinars, we move on to the DOST-initiated competitions on digital talent development. So next slide, please. So this is one of our, shall we say, long-running competition, which we call Indiciencia. This science filmmaking competition, which is organized by our Science Education Institute, is now on its 5th year. This is a pioneering step on bringing science closer to the youth and the general public through film. And the winner here gets 100,000 pesos prize and a chance to win an additional 20,000 Viewers' Choice Award. So we do this annually. We have the competition, which is entitled InnoVax project. It is a nationwide search for the most innovative teaching and learning resources which can be used in teaching and mathematics subjects. This search intends to recognize teaching and learning innovations that best respond to the challenges and opportunities of the changing education landscape brought about by disruptors like COVID-19 and the 4th Industrial Revolution. It also emphasizes innovations and initiatives that wholeheartedly embrace the interconnectedness among STEM disciplines and harness their synergy in solving real-world problems such as the ones currently faced by the education sector. That brings to a close my presentation, mostly centered on training, on formal education, on competitions, on innovation projects, and on research and development aimed at applying artificial intelligence, data science, data analytics, and automation. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you to the DOST and thank you to Secretary De La Peña. I gather that there was a hand raised earlier by our good friend Esther, the president of UE. Is Esther around? Would you want to put forward a question, Esther? Arnold, is Esther around? Hello?
We have to upgrade him. Joanna, can you please upgrade her? Dr. Garcia.
Esther, go ahead. Esther? While Esther is probably trying to reach to her mic, June Quaresma also has raised his hand. June? June? Go ahead. June? Esther? Hello? Esther? June? Okay.
No, Rico.
Come again? Is that Arnold?
That's June Quaresma. June, you can please unmute.
June, go ahead. Hello?
Rico, I don't have any.
Okay. June,
You can speak now.
Rico, I don't have any questions. I'm sorry.
Okay. How about Esther? Esther, are you wanting to say something? Esther? Okay. We go to Mon for the last question. And it's time. I noted. Okay. Let's listen to Mon. Mon Segismundo, go ahead.
Ay, kaya pala.
Yeah, Sec Boy,
May napindot ako na ratio.
this is your student at UP Engineering, Mon Sigismundo. My question is this, to complement science and technology skills, and congratulations, you have a lot of programs to advance science and technology. We also need soft skills such as leadership, ethics, and governance, for example. So who is the government unit accountable for this? So that side by side with science and technology advancement, we could also improve on the soft skills of our leaders in government.
If that's Mon, if that's addressed to Secretary De La Peña, unfortunately the secretary had to leave. And
okay.
so,
anyway, sayo na lang, Rico.
Okay.
Sayo na lang.
I would invoke the time limit, Mon, and there being no other question presented, I will now call on President Gigi to share with us any closing remarks he might have.
Yes, well, thank you. Congratulations to all of the speakers. It sort of lined up quite well, no? Joanne Asetre set the stage. She went from what I would call traditional to the renewable. And then Rex Wallen Tan spoke about two leapfrogging possibilities, the tablet and all of this stuff we can get free on the internet. Dr. Wang spoke about some international, gave an international perspective, G20 and developments. He also spoke to us last year. And then we went to two very good presentations from the government side. You had Usec CAINTIC, who effectively gave his chip analogy. I think the most useful for us was the vaccination certificate. But the best part was that he answered so many questions in a confident and professional way. So we obviously feel quite good that we have somebody like him as a Usec in that area. And then finally, Secretary Fort de la Peña, everybody knows him, very scholarly, perfect for science and technology, quite comprehensive. And obviously we hope that he can do much of what he's trying to do. And we wish him well. So I think the topics are good. And of course, we thank you, Rico, for managing the webinar.
Thank you, President Gigi. President Lin, any remarks?
Thank you very much, Attorney Rico, Gigi, and to all of our speakers and guests. Indeed, right? Technology for people is the way forward for a future that will harmonize human and business needs. We need to continue transforming the way we work, the way we develop our people so that we create value each step along the way. I believe that's the message that has been shared by all of the speakers this afternoon. And it's simply very encouraging to see so many working examples of how we can take this forward. As companies work on improving diversity and inclusion, technology will level the playing field. And as we say, with this crisis upon us, talent is no longer confined to borders. So friends, the global talent pool is here, and we must simply continue to empower our people so that we can compete, we can rise above our circumstances, and say, indeed, together we can win in this journey of developing humanity towards a future that works for everyone. Thank you very much. And once again, this is Lynn Muki from PMAP, congratulating MAP, Attorney Rico, and the rest of the organizers. Thank you for sustaining our partnership and looking forward to more.
Thank you. At this point, may I ask the panelists to bear with us together with the president of MAP and the president of PMAP for a short video photo op. It's good to see the Secretary de la Peña came back. Thank you, sir.
Okay, please be ready. 1, 2, 3. One last time. 1, 2, 3. Thanks.
At this